Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. JJ Messenger, yes, you have awoken me from my long sleep in an attempt to round up the troops to hunt the infamous beast known as the Dogman. Well, now that my shackles and chains have been released by JJ Messenger, it is once again time to take a walk into the darkness known as the Dogman phenomenon.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf, and everybody in the car freaked out.
You, as well as Jeff, aka JJ Messenger, have seemingly found your way through the dark, foggy, and dense forest to sit around the late night fire and burn the midnight timber as we once again dive in to the infamous Dogman phenomenon. JJ, how you been, man?
Oh, I've been good. Been very good. How are you?
I am really busy, but it's a good thing. Like I said, I had quite plentiful opportunities present themselves to me tonight. So, yes, I have a ton of great people I'll be speaking to for the next 3 to 4 hours. And then hopefully I can dig into either getting a video out or at least getting it around 70 to 80% done for tomorrow, man.
Well, that's an accomplishment. That really is. I know how that goes.
Yeah, I got to sit there and, you got to grind. And no matter what it is or wherever you are in life, you got to make sure to put the work in. So, as I stated to you before we started recording, can't really create content. I mean, you can, but the content I like to get out with my science team and my hosts and such, I can't create that without guests and hosts. So, can't really complain about great opportunity.
And you have an awesome team, most definitely.
Kind words, man. I appreciate you. It's definitely great to be able to sit there and actually collaborate on some great stuff with you, my friend. And I sent you some pretty interesting stuff that you did get a chance to sit down and glance into. And before I narrate some of that for the audience, so you get an understanding as to what we're going to try to figure out, what are your thoughts on that? And also give yourself a plug, man.
Yes, I'm JJ Jeff Messenger. My YouTube channels are Winston Wildman Research Org and Searching the Supernatural. And I've been quite busy on the YouTube, but not as busy as I would like to be because I'm a working man, I'm an old guy, and I like to nap.
That is hilarious. And I totally understand that. I mean, I definitely love to get my sleep as well, but my goal is a lot of my good friends and hosts here on Midnight Lycanthropy are already monetized, and they're actually really trying to help me out, which is beautiful. And I am trying to get all my hosts monetized as well. So I'm trying to, share out everything as much as possible, but also it is important for anyone that does really want to get monetized. You got to drop at least a video every other day, and kind of want to keep it in the middle mark, a little bit under an hour, maybe around 40, 45 minutes, because every 2 views will get you your hour. And just to get viewing hours is kind of the toughest part, but just got to do it, man. I mean, once you hit 1,000 subs, things start rolling in quicker. And it's just like with anything else. I mean, what's that saying? Rome didn't get built in one night. So it's no different than trying to build your YouTube empire. I mean, got to put the work in. So,
Oh, very true, very true. I did an AdWord campaign for a short time, and ironically, the majority of the people that I was pulling in were the trolls. But at this point, I'm like, trolls are good. If they're saying derogatory things, at least they're commenting, and that's attention.
yes, I definitely understand that. And that is kind of the big thing. It's a catch-22. To you or anybody else out there that potentially has to deal with a troll, I mean, you can handle it one out of two ways. You can troll back and be offended by it, or you can squash it, meaning, that's not really what we're here to talk about. But a great example is if somebody, wants to come in and try to troll you, which has happened to me before, but even the person that came in to troll was like, wow, I actually love how you approach this scientifically, and I can't troll you anymore. I actually enjoy your content. So, yes, the thing is to make sure that you're just putting out quality stuff. I mean, to each their own. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Meldrum. Okay, I love science. So there's people out there that I love that don't like him, which is totally fine. But I'm a science-minded person, and every time I listen to him speak, I agree with a lot of the things he says, and it makes logical sense. But I assume, he's got his haters as well. And I mean, this guy, whether people, like him or not, is a brilliant mind. I mean, he's not in his position if he wasn't intellectual. So.
Yeah, yeah. Most of us in the cryptozoology research field were lay people. People with an intense interest that go out in the field or interview witnesses and accumulate data on our own terms. But someone like Jeff Meldrum, he's got the academic street cred, if you will. He's got the sheepskins mounted on the wall, and whatever, love him or hate him, you can't take away that academic cred that the man brings.
Yes, and beautifully stated. That's all I'm trying to say is we need people like that. And the fact that he has all the credentials, like you said, and gets out there and walks around and stuff, that is beautiful. So whether or not people fully subscribe to either or, that's cool. But he shows me science as to why he believes things fall into line as to his theory. And that's science. So again, I'm open minded, but until anyone else can show me reasonings that match up with science, then I can't really sway my opinions. So, example, do I think portals and such exist? Response, I don't know. Next response, never seen one. No, millions of people have never seen one. I have no clue. Next response, sure, in theory, yes, with energy and such. I mean, look at electricity. Next response, is there any scientific evidence to support that? No. Is there scientific evidence to support why that can occur? Yes. Again, someone wants to sway my opinion and show me science as to why I should believe a portal just appears. Show me the science, please.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I struggle myself between one foot in science and the other in the paranormal. And I try not to let the paranormal influence the Sasquatch research. I try to let the bare bones facts of what I encounter,
Yes.
just pretty much get the bare bones. I even like to call them unknowns because I'm not like 2 feet from them. giving them a good look. You know, they're these bipedal, shadowy unknowns that I am encountering, and I can't attribute anything paranormal to them in my experience, other than the fact that on my recordings there seem to be electronic voice phenomena occurring, and it's in English, and quite often it could be low and guttural, but it's like a human type speech. So is it Sasquatch? I don't know. As a paranormal researcher, you often record these odd EVP recordings in various locations, various haunts, and where are the dividing lines? Where are the boundaries? I'm not going to make any bold claims, you know.
I mean, that's greatly spoken. I think a big problem is a lot of the paranormal doesn't believe in science, which is fine, but I'm not with that swag. Okay. Meaning, yeah, there's science behind Sasquatch, which is why I believe in it. Wait, what, Star Fox? You think there's science behind Bigfoot? Yeah, because Bigfoot, the term was hoaxed by three people. So sure, Bigfoot, but we can't now just discredit the indigenous cultures around way before then. We also can't discredit Gigantopithecus. That's there. It's proven that it existed. Also, Neanderthal human beings, which I think are taking a large play into Sasquatch as well. They existed, and there's signs that as 1,000 years ago, give or take, that they were still potentially around. Okay, that's science. So, yeah, let's talk science. Let's talk about how I don't know the exact date, but down in Florida, there was a primate center that got destroyed by a hurricane, and a large quantity of primates got out. Yes, okay,
Hmm.
let's talk science. Those are all scientific things. So, sure, if people want to mock Bigfoot, that's okay. But if anyone has an intellect more than a tree stump, and the reason I say tree stump, because a tree stump is no longer living because trees are probably smarter than a lot of people I've run into. But if anyone has enough of an intellect to understand that, that's all science. That's right there. So for anyone to mock that, it just shows of a lack of intellect on their behalf.
Oh, you're really talking my language now, because I get tired of the camps. People, you find your camp, you belong to your camp, and you start attacking the other camp. And that's so tiresome to me. Yes, the Bigfoot and other cryptid phenomena like Dogman, there's a distinctly physical, scientific thing going on with footprints and hair samples,
Hmm.
et cetera, handprints, claw prints, but damage that they can do, structures they can make. Now, this is all science. This is within the material, physical realm that you can weigh, measure. Um, there's probably a limited thing you could do with it unless you like run a laboratory. And that's sort of to our detriment too, that we don't have convenient DNA testing centers set up in our town and things like that. I suppose you could send it to those heritage places, but they even test for Neanderthal DNA sometimes. So
That's beautiful stuff
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And I think such a huge problem is just with the hoaxing aspect and a great show. And to anyone that wants to troll, yes, you don't just believe everything of a show. You do your own research. I've said that since day one. So to anyone that wants to, again, say that like they did another time, that's okay. You obviously don't listen to my other stuff. But the proof is out there on History Channel is great because it literally shows reasonings why things are hot garbage, yet people are still tossing it around as legit. So I'm not going to dive into much about this because you and I have much greater things to conquer at the moment. But
Oh yeah.
prime example, in Turkey, there was a gentleman that swears up and down that he saw a UFO. Okay, yeah, very interesting kind of footage he got. But when all broken down, man, well, he claimed it was over the water, but the way his camera was shooting and the lack of depth the camera can grab from your cell phone at night, and how he was claiming there was two grays in here in this tiny little seat bucket, which even our airplanes have tiny windows where you couldn't see people up in there. Dude, it all was broken down to a fishing boat that happened to timingly be going through there with the fog coming up and its lights, and this guy swears up and down it's a UFO. Yet once it's presented that it is not, he still goes around claiming it is. And it's like, dude, you are not correct. It's okay. And then there's this other guy claimed up and down in Canada. He was hearing harmonic sounds in the sky. Yo, get that garbage up out of here. But 2 times, right? He claims. Okay. Swears up and down. They put him on the History Channel, looking at the camera, swearing up and down he doesn't have time to hoax. I'm too busy for this. Blah, 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 blah. Well, ooh, okay. Ironically, they're able to find the exact song he used online, and they can see where it's spliced into the video. Because what are the odds of this guy 2 times in his existence hearing the exact same song? So wait a second, this dude's sitting here looking at the camera, swearing to everybody this is real, yet the guy's straight up hoaxing, and it's proven as a hoax, yet he still is going around telling you this is real. Another thing people don't realize, those magical crystals that supposedly were like Indiana Jones and were put all around by ancient civilizations. Yo, dude, those were cut by modern day jewelers. That's been proven and documented. Why are we still talking about this?
Wow, that's good stuff. That brings to mind the entrance to hell in Siberia. This pit that's supposedly a bottomless pit. Recorded the sounds of hell that someone matched perfectly to an old horror movie. With the screams and the yells, and then it matches with the peaks and the valleys. And it's like, oops,
boom. But wait a second.
They found the source of the noise. It was an old horror movie.
Well, I love how you said that too, because I got some heat for this, but it's facts. And people are like, oh, well, those Sierra sounds where it sounds like a samurai movie, oh, that couldn't have been done at that point in time. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm a former actor, okay? There are old school samurai movies that have that same voice in it that were made before those Sierra sounds. How do people think that they got those sounds into the movie? You still have to edit and put those up in there. So why does that sound like samurai talk? Is it actually wild person talk? I don't know. But I'm just saying, for people to try to say it's impossible to put that up, it is not. I mean, just go online to anybody and search old school samurai movies, man. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, with the samurai, that
Yes.
that stuff is compelling as the what I call the garbled animated, that
Yes.
that very animated garbled talk. That's very compelling. But when I heard that distant, it sounded like Joe Belushi's, samurai from Saturday Night Live, and
Yes.
yeah, that people tend to roll their eyes, but I'm not beyond thinking that could be Sasquatch, because I know they can often sound very human. Maybe it was their attempt to actually try to sound human, But this is all in the realm of maybe, when we're getting down to brass tacks, it's about convincing people of your evidence. And,
Beautifully stated, man.
yeah,
Because
I got evidence that people doubt, and I understand the doubts. I get it.
right there with you too, though. Like I said, man, excellent stuff. Because yeah, both sides. I'm not saying I don't believe those sounds. I'm just saying when people have tried to tell me that there's no way it could be done. Yes, it can be done. So don't give me that. And also, yeah, it is very bizarre. And I sit 50-50 because there's stuff that, well, solidifies it could be hoaxed. And then there's stuff, like you said, other talks in the wild. And primitive human beings, would have probably sounded similar to that, man, before we distinguished different languages. So again, I'm not sitting on either side. I'm just presenting actual questions that if people would like to sway scientific's opinion, like show me reasons to sway my opinion,
Yeah. Well, If any Sasquatch or other cryptid recordings sound too human, it's obviously going to be doubted. That's
Hmm.
just the reality of it. My personal belief from my personal experiences is that they are, in fact, very human. But I'm not at a point where I can like validate that through laying out a lot of science. Just through subjective testimony.
Preach, man. And to the audience, I do encourage you to do your own research on this next topic we are diving into because everything spoken about ties into this as well. We have werewomen, obviously, because, I mean, if you have werewolves, weremen, and dogmen, and dog women, whether it's the cynocephaly, it's got to go hand in hand, okay? I mean, if the cynocephaly were being unalived by swords and stuff, trading with people, yes, for them to have their numbers, you got to have females kicking around too. So, like I said, we're dealing with science here, and makes sense. Again, like I said, though, werewomen and werewolves, I feel, are more occult based. But obviously, if a male can do it through warlocks and stuff, then a female can do it through witchcraft too. So again, show me different reasonings, and I'm down. But this is a woman or women who have taken the form of the animal that they have the pelt of, usually wolves, through lycanthropy. So again, it's kind of sounding like similar to the skinwalker aspects, but different. And the use of this word, where, which most people don't know, translates to shapeshift in Old English and also means loosely man or woman. Okay, so the man beast or the woman beast. You have depictions of this strange stuff back in 1591. Wait, what? Yes, we're going to dive a little bit more into this of Juliach, but that's pretty old school. But back to finishing up here, the werewomen are reported to originate in African folklore through witchcraft. Ooh! But also keep in mind, they do not need to be specifically a wolf animal, and they are not truly just in Africa. They are everywhere, just like the rest of humankind. In certain areas, they turn into ferocious beasts like leopards. Werewomen are distinctive through most lycanthropy legends because they publicly really focus on the women. What are your thoughts about that, man?
Well, I've always been interested in this topic ever since I was a child collecting Marvel comic books. And they had a character called Tigra the Weirwoman. Now, Tigra is what you would wish they all look like, basically. The Tigra is, of course, a comic book version of the ancient European legend, the Weirwoman. Um, while reading up on the topic here, when you told me what we were going to talk about, I discovered that Weirwomen has a modern connotation now, but we're not using that. We're not using the modern slang of weirwoman as people use it nowadays. We're going back to the Middle Ages here. We're going way back. And what strikes me too is the similarities between ancient native legends about skinwalkers, etc., with ancient European legends. Diverse cultures that were not interacting, that were centuries away from interacting. Um, Sort of like ancient archaeology when there's certain designs and motifs that mimic each other on different continents. It makes you wonder where's the common source? Is there a reality behind the myth?
Brilliant, man. And that's the big time question because I preach about this all the time. Primitive beings were intellectual, but also bozos at certain points in times. Meaning, you have the medieval times where we just decided to basically destroy everything and go back to anarchy in the Middle Ages when the previous cultures had a little bit more equity and, well, we're still deranged in their own ways, but we're definitely pretty advanced. I don't know about you, Rome, Egypt, etc. After they all fell, I don't know about you. Can anyone show me a culture during the medieval times that matched any of that? It seemed to me that we just, again, fell back into primitive based times. So the reason I mention that is it's super tough because you want to think that these prehistoric cultures definitely had an understanding of differentials. But someone again, correct me if I'm wrong, why did the Aztecs and the Mayans rip out people's hearts and chuck it down the temple stairs? Was there not anybody in that culture that understood the sun would still come up the next day? So, I mean, how did they make such advancements with calendars and all this, but were so primitive minded to think that the sun would not exist without ripping out somebody's heart? I mean, the reason again I state that is I want to think and understand that prehistoric individuals would know what they're seeing, meaning what we were just speaking about. I would like to think they know the difference between a hyena and something that is standing up on two legs and coming towards them. But how many times in culture do things get made up to understand things? Okay. Again, I'm not discrediting any of this, but noises in the night had to be some crazy banshee. Do banshees exist? I don't know. Can science prove any of that? No. Can science disprove all that? Yes. Again, am I open minded to that topic? Of course. Show me some reasons to discredit the scientific aspects that are presented to me. So, is someone just scared of the unknown and just comes up with some sort of tale like that because they see hyenas are real and let's turn them into something hominoid to cause this lore? Or, as you stated, is it actually something they're seeing in differences? Man, I'd like to really think that Alexander the Great and Cestius and Herodotus had an understanding of what the heck a cynocephala would be and what a regular canine looking thing would be. I mean, dude, we're talking about Alexander the Great. I mean, the guy had to be remotely intellectual. Sure, he was a tyrant to other people because he was conquering, but man, that guy couldn't have been a straight up jackass where he didn't know the difference. I mean, am I wrong?
No, no, you're not wrong. He had to know the ways of the world, obviously, to be a conqueror and to have his way and to control so many. Um, Now, one thing you were talking about with science, there is a scientific correlation between natural disasters and threats and plagues, and the type of witch hunt European mentality that evolved, and the bubonic plague, and these horrible, horrible pandemics that would wipe out 20-30% of the population. And they're all thinking, of course, in spiritual religious terms, like, what did we do to deserve all this? Or what caused the devil to gain so much power? And it's that thinking, with the devil and the satanic powers and all of that lent itself into not only the witch hunts, but also the werewolf and werewomen were treated much like a witch hunt. From what I understand, they were burned at the stake, that they were suspected to be, suffering from lycanthropy.
Boom. Which is why I take zero take into any of that because, again, people can do their own research. When you're under torture, you're going to say anything. So, again, until someone can show me elsewise, I'm sure there's super special trained men and women out there that can handle crazy amounts of that. But the average individual that they were doing this to, of course, is going to say anything. And I mean, if you are a child and watching this happen to someone you cared about in front of you too, of course you're going to admit to that. And if anyone had any sort of tree stump brain stuffed into their head back then, they would understand herbs and things. Oh, wait a second, that helps us. I mean, I don't see the Native Americans being like, oh, wait a second, this really helps. Turmeric. Oh, wait a second, my back feels a little bit better. It's going to help with inflammation. Oh, nope, hang him. The chief found some turmeric. They're a skinwalker now. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
right.
Didn't work like that. But if you go to medieval times, someone, comes back with ginger and their stomach feels better. Oh, hang her, man. She's using magic. It's like, yo, you guys are so primitive. It's insane. So how can I logically take anything outside of that as credible? I mean, y'all were digging into that type of behavior, yet you want me to believe you were seeing dragons? No, you were seeing dragons because you saw dinosaur skeletons and
Yeah.
your magic minds decided that it had to breathe fire. And if someone wants me to ever believe in dragons, then show me actual evidence of that, because I know dinosaurs existed, and not one paleontologist that I respect has ever told me there's a fire-breathing dragon dinosaur. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think what sparks a lot of the what we often use the term medieval superstition. Well, what sparked the superstition of the masses, like I said, was the horrible threats that they were encountering with the plagues and the natural disasters, and they were just like terrified. I mean, fear became the cultural norm, and the more fearful you are, the more you're going to start. The classic Twilight Zone episodes, and there's one where there's a small town with a power outage, and a kid that suggests that aliens might have been the cause, and soon the whole village is accusing everyone else of being a covert
sounds
alien.
about right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're talking about here. You're looking for something or someone to blame for all the horror and the disease and the death. You know,
Right? I
yeah,
love how you just said that, because before I read this next thing and we start to kind of tie this up, because this one actually really falls into not torture or anything, seeming like people saw this and these females were all about it. But like you said, again, let's talk some science here to anybody out there. Ooh, hygiene. Yes, that's a big one, right? Yes. So if you are doing number one and number two, you're not washing your hands, it's out in the street, you're cooking food after, you're hugging everybody else, somebody else gets sick. Yeah, that's probably a good reason as to what's going on. So first, I'm going to say about the plague. Yeah, you had a ton of rats around that had fleas and things. Oh, yes, now that we know fleas carry horrendous diseases, and you had bed bugs and you were pooping everywhere, not washing your hands. No wonder everybody got sick. But wait a second, time out. There's got to be vampires in our village, right? Wait, what do you mean, Star Fox? Well, what the heck, dude? Susie over there, all of a sudden she passed away. And now her boyfriend is, well, he's sick too, the same sickness she has. It's got to be a vampire. Let's go dig up the graves. Oh, wait a second. Let's fast forward. Bodies expand just from gases and things, and all of a sudden your nails will still grow and blood will come out. Nope. Susie's a vampire. See this everywhere, everybody? This is why we were getting sick. Oh, stake through the heart, brick through the deceased Susie's face, and then we put her back down. Oh, wait a second, everyone's still sick. Yeah, dude, because you guys just dug up a corpse that did have some sort of sickness, and then you just went and took a big old poop, and now you're just sitting here rubbing your wife's face. I mean, what are we missing?
yeah. There was so much ignorance, of course. They thought bloodletting was a cure. You know.
So, like, why do people miss that? I feel like, why, like you said, it has to be some sort of crazy demonic activity. I mean, again, if someone wants me to believe that, sure, show me that. But, dude, people, it's filthy, man. I mean, has anyone been to a public restroom? I mean, I spent a lot of time down in Boston. I'm telling you right now, South Station, the bathrooms look up in there. Holy Christmas trees. That looks like something from hell.
Oh yeah. Those are very scary. Much like a campground bathroom, which has the pine boards with the holes and big piles of crap underneath.
Right? Or back when I used to, go out and be a bozo and just party like I've spoken about before or whatever. That's not the reason of this. But same thing. You go up into a public, club or bar's bathroom, and there's literally like a half inch of some known fluid on the floor. And it's like, you're like, dude, man, like, Get me out of this nastiness, okay? And now this is modern day times, and people are still, dirtbags like that. So, like I said, I mean, come on now, let's just be realistic with some of this stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can testify. I won't be specific. The place I work, there's one individual that's a repeat offender. Urinates on the walls.
Classic.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who's doing it, but if I ever catch him, you're going to see a little bit of Weird Woman come out. It's
That's so funny, dude. As we're tying this up, this next thing, again, we're going to be speaking about werewolves. And we've already told you what they are, but I'll give you a little bit more of a background check. They're usually found in history, folklore, myth, exaggerated stories, etc., whatever. But we are going to talk about one very notable case. So, again, this is dealing with human perspective, which we do know how sketchy this is, but we have a ton of human perspective. Meaning, wait a second, they're all reporting pretty much almost spot on what they're seeing. I mean, obviously it's different women and etc., but it's not like they're all describing different things, meaning so and so was driving a truck and had a different color hat on. All these descriptions are pretty spot on. So this case is the She-Wolves of Jülich in Germany. Dude, Germany has some really dark history with werewolves, and it's near like Transylvania and stuff, man. We'll have to talk about that more. But dude, they're one of the more modern day time cultures that have a crap ton of werewolf stuff, even before the Dirty Stash and the SS came up in there. But either way, this is during the 16th century, okay? And this is highly documented and seen by, like I said, numerous people, like large villages seeing this. There were claims of hundreds of women in the Duchy of Jülich that would consistently turn into werewolves and terrorize the region. All right, they'd be committing acts of intense violence, cannibalism, and gore. So, again, we're talking about same type of behavior seems like with werewolves and such. We're not talking about good stuff, obviously, because again, until someone can show me there's any sort of case of a shapeshifter being good, I'd love to hear it. Dogmen and dog women, that's a different story. I'm talking about something that is from the occult, because as far at the moment that where I stand, I believe werewolves and hyenas and such are going to be occult based if they do exist, meaning some of the occult books like the SS had and some of the books that are banned and, etc. So again, that's not, really what the point of this is. The point of this is that there were hundreds of these women that were seen, and you can't really mistake hundreds of women, I feel like. And are we talking about a hoax? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, 16th century, isn't that still around the time they weren't really about hearing stuff like that? That they would still, unalive you at the, podium, more or less? I mean, just to speak about something like that, male or female, you got to have a little bit of momentum and lack of fear, I feel like. I don't know if I had seen enough people being unalive for that. And even if I did see a werewolf or something, I wouldn't say crap, dude.
It makes me wonder if there was a disease or some type of a disease that caused a type of dementia or psychosis occurring, to have a large group presenting themselves as feral. There is, in fact, a basis in reality, which we'll assume at the moment. Perhaps there's a medical reason for this. Perhaps, like you said, there's an occultic or spiritual link where in the paranormal realm, demonic possession is a very common malady where people act very animalistic and bestial and can even break into contortions and very abnormal and at times supernatural contortions, something that William Peter Blatty wrote into his novel, The Exorcist. So you combine the contortions, the unnatural sounds they can make. Is there a medical reasoning behind this? Is there a paranormal phenomena occurring? You would love a time capsule just so you could look for yourself, you know?
I love how you said that to wrap this up because there is actually some science to support, like you were saying, potential delusions on both sides. And wait, what, Starfox? What do you mean? Well, I'm saying there is highly amounts of great information showing again that we were using breads and things with mold in it, and certain molds that were in there would cause hallucinations, meaning obviously people that weren't considered royalty and were eating just breads and stuff. Sure, this one village here, but even maybe like 10 miles away, that village most likely is going to have the same sort of bread. So in actuality, scientifically, yes, you could have 4 or 5 villages in a general area that have had the same infection in their food and are hallucinating, thinking they're seeing that, or you could have these women that maybe consume that food and that were, or of some sort of substance like the berserkers and such. So it is super interesting because there's definitely 3 potential, sides of it, but logically, what I just mentioned would be the most logical, but
You could also have a contaminated water source,
mm-hmm.
or the animal and the wildlife that they would eat could be contaminated or diseased. Oh, there's so many possibilities.
I love it, bro. That's why you're definitely part of my squad and coming on and trying to figure this out because, like I said, I mean, I'm always open-minded and willing to change my, thoughts on things. But over and over again, I see science show why things are hoaxes and why they've been edited. Yet these people look at the camera and swear it's legit. And that's why when people are like, hey, Starfox, so you don't take their story as credible? What if it happened? I'm like, okay, what if it did happen? They're like, well, you're not letting them talk. I'm like, because there's nothing there to show that it happened besides their enunciation of it. And if there's one person, that means there's 2 sides of the story, theirs and the truth. I mean, let's be real here. Why did this guy up in Canada swear up and down, and he's still swearing up and down after the History Channel called him out, that his sounds are real? I mean, people, that's just the bottom line of how it is. You can go to a prison all over the world where there is no questioning what these criminals are in here for, okay? And they're going to look you in the face and tell you that I didn't do anything, I'm innocent. All right, so at the end of the day, when I'm dealing with science and trying to figure out what's going on with something, why would I ever give voices to things that don't have any substance to even fall into the category of science? Then that diffuses and defeats the whole purpose of what I'm trying to do and also what it is to be a journalist. So it's always great, man, to sit down with you, bro, and I appreciate you popping in tonight to hang out with us. And well, to the audience, we do need to close the Midnight Lycanthropy book for the evening because JJ, well, he does need to attend to some other things, but he is a bi-weekly host. And to anyone that does watch Midnight Lycanthropy, you will know that through the playlist. But yes, man, thanks again, bro.
Oh, thank you, Ken. Very interesting talk. I enjoyed it very much.
Ooh, you legends, you. If you did make it this far tonight, I truly do admire every single one of you. Thank you for the support, and please like, subscribe, comment, and feed the algorithm. And don't forget to turn on those alerts.